Welcome back to my channel, everyone. I'm Charles from Charles & Photography. About 3 months ago I did a YouTube tutorial on using the Nikon 18-140mm lens for landscape photography. I know some people bag this lens because it's only a kit lens for DX cameras, which is crop sensor, but used correctly you can actually get some really good photos with it. And I'll put a link up now on this video that I did 3 months ago on using the Nikon 18-140mm lens for landscape photography. So today's tutorial isn't so much a tutorial, I just want to share some photos that I took on a recent family trip to northern New South Wales. It involves travelling through the scenic rim. We went to a waterfall and then onto Tenterfield where we got some nice autumn colours, and I ended up photographing a very historic railway bridge. So I wanted to share some photos to show you how good this lens is for everyday photography and why I feel that really this lens, the 18-140, is your all-in-one lens. And when you look, the 18-140 sits nice and tight, and at 140mm it still doesn't extend that much. And used correctly at 18-140mm, you're going to end with some very good photos. Now these photos that I took range from 18mm all the way up to around 100 odd mils, and I've put the focal range on these images. Now you might say that because I'm using a Nikon D500 that I'm going to get better quality. Well, it's a yes and no affair. So I could use this same lens on a Nikon D5600 or a Nikon D3500 and get very similar images, because it's the quality of the lens that will drive the quality of your final image. If the lens cannot give you a sharp image, it doesn't matter what camera body sits behind the lens. If you put a rubbishy lens on your camera, you're going to get rubbishy photos. The same if I put like a very good quality lens, let's say 24-70 f2.8, I'm probably going to get sharper photos than this. But you're paying, like for this lens, around $400 odd, whereas a 24-70 you're looking at around $2,500. It's a very big jump. For the cost of this lens, I feel it's very good. So let's jump in now and take a look at some of these photos. So this is the first image here. It was taken in the scenic rim. It's a very old hut that I've visited quite a few times, and you can see it was taken at 24mm. There's some rain in the background. Now all these images have been edited in Adobe Lightroom Classic. Now this next image here, I actually took two to show you why I actually like this lens. So this was taken quite wide at 20mm. Now this image actually zoomed in to 42mm, and you can actually see more detail in the trees than the original image. Now if these trees were further away, I could still zoom in much more, and all these images are actually handheld. VR on this lens is very good. Now this is a place sometimes where we really need an ultra wide lens. So this image was taken with my Nikon 11-20mm to show you what 11mm actually looks like from the viewing platform of Queen Mary Falls. You can see the whole waterfall and the path down the bottom. This next image here was actually taken at 18mm. And this is the only time that I struggled through the whole trip, that if I just had the 18-140, I couldn't have gotten like the extra field of view that I wanted. But I still walked away with a shot of this waterfall. But the bonus side of having the zoom is the next image here. Look at this. This was taken at 56mm. And you can see the action of the waterfall, freezed frame, and it just gives you so much power. Without my 18-140, I couldn't have taken an image like this. Now this waterfall is only a couple of kilometres from Queensmary, called Daggs Falls. The viewing platform is around 400 metres from the waterfall. There's no access to this waterfall. The image was taken at 30mm. Having the ability of zooming in allowed me to actually get a really nice photo of this waterfall. Now halfway between Killarney and Tenterfield, we were driving along this track and I saw just this dead tree on the side of the road. We pulled in, and look how nice this image looks. Now some people think that we need an ultra wide lens when we're taking scenes like this, because this tree was really in your face. All I had to do was just take a couple of steps back from the tree and I still walked away with a very striking image. So this is in Tenterfield and the maple trees were just starting to turn to their beautiful autumn colours. Images like this, you've got to be close and you've got to have trees and all that to fill at least 3/4 of your frame, or else they're just lost in the background. Now, as we left Tenterfield, this is the old railway bridge. The last time we were there was about 8 years ago and you could still walk on the railway bridge. Now it's all fenced off because, as you can see in the image, it's actually quite damaged. But this is the beauty of having a zoom lens. This image here was taken at 18mm. Now look at this. This was taken at 105mm. And look at the detail. Look at that. You can see so much detail in this. This is how good quality this lens is. Edited correctly, all the detail in the raw file was there. Now, like I said, if I'd used, let's say, the Nikon D500, I would have gotten exactly the same image. It's all about making sure that your exposure is correct. Now, all these images were actually taken in aperture priority, apart from the waterfall where I actually took it in shutter priority, so I could actually work out what I wanted from the image, because I just wanted some more freeze frame. So I wasn't worried too much about depth of field. I was really wanting to control the flow of the water. Now this is one shot where the 18-140 lacked, because I really want to get more of the railway line. But at 18mm, this is all I could get. But I took this just to show sometimes there is limitations on this lens, but I'm still very happy with this image. So for the whole trip, I think I took around 200 photos. Around 70 of them involved my family, so I was left with about 130 photos for my trip. And this image here that I took at 42mm of the pine trees in the foreground with a very stormy sky, and I could see the clouds coming down. We just parked the car, waited a little bit, and all of a sudden the clouds came down in front of the mountains. So I zoomed out to 18mm and then I zoomed in to 42mm and got this. And for me, this is my best shot, and you can see it here in 9:16, and this is definitely an image that I'll frame to put in my home office because it's an image that I've really wanted to take. This wasn't so much of a tutorial, just to show people how good the 18-140mm lens is. Now, I know some people say that DX lenses aren't as good quality as lenses made for FX, for full frame bodies, and that's true. But you're also paying a lot more for it. Now, and this 18-140mm lens is around $450. To get something similar to this in FX, you're going to be paying around $1,500. Quite a bit of a jump. And understand also that, example, if this lens was available for full frame at the same focal range, 18-140mm, at 18mm, if you put an FX lens on a DX body, your focal range will be very different. It won't be 18mm because it'll have been cropped 1.5. So instead of 18, it'll actually be 27mm. So instead of getting quite wide, you'll already be much closer into your subject. This is something that you have to remember, that if you put an FX lens on a cropped body, it'll still read 18mm, but what you're viewing is going to be much tighter. It's going to be cropped in compared to using a DX lens on a DX camera. The only full frame lens that I have for my camera is the Nikon 200-500mm lens for wildlife, and then it's a bonus because instead of 200-500, I'm actually shooting at 300-750, so I'm getting more focal range, and that's what I want. I actually want to be able to zoom in much further to photograph wildlife. Now, if you found value in this video, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.